right, hi everyone. My name is Maka Encarnação, and I'm going to talk about how to contribute to the community. So first I want to start off with some facts that you may not know about volunteering. Did you know that when you volunteer, it actually can improve your health by strengthening your body, improving your mood, and lessening stress? Volunteers are actually as healthy as 5-year younger non-volunteers. And if you volunteer, you actually have a better chance of getting a job, about 27% better chance. And not only that, but if you put volunteering in your resume, you actually will get more people interested in your resume. Volunteers on average just spend 50 hours per year, so it's really not that much time. And I did the math, so assuming there's like 10 waking hours a day, that's only 1.3% of the year. So it's really not a whole lot. Women tend to volunteer a little bit more than men, about 6% more. And here's my favorite fact about volunteering. It actually makes you feel like you have more time. So when I read that, I was like, actually I feel like that's kind of true. And then I was like, why is that? That doesn't really make sense. And my theory is that when you volunteer, it puts everything else into perspective. Like you realize the little things that you stress about, that you worry about, aren't as big of a deal as this big initiative that you're trying to fight for when you're volunteering. So I'd love to hear any thoughts that you guys have about why that might be true, but that was my take on that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some ways to get back inside the FileMaker community. Obviously, Rosemary just talked about answering questions on the forums. I think that's a pretty easy way to get back. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot. It can be a little bit. So the nice thing is you can gauge your own activity with that. Blog posts, there's some great blog posts and video tutorials out there. You're really helping the community enrich in technical knowledge by doing things like that. And of course, there's some fun podcasts out there that are fun to listen to and a good way to give back to the community as well. There's also some ways to give back right here at DevCon. So there's some DevCon initiatives. The Visionary Bar, which is now renamed to Lounge. It's all staffed by volunteers. So that's where you can go and say, look, I'm stuck on this problem. Can you give me some help? And they're like, yeah, it's basically free consulting. And it's all staffed by volunteers. So it's a great way to give back while you're here. There's also DevCon Buddy. So, some of us are brand new to DevCon. We don't really know what's going on. Some of us have been to DevCon many times. And so it's a way to kind of pair those two different groups up to really help maximize the experience for the first timers or people who are fairly new to DevCon. There's ways to give back at home and with FileMaker. So there's lots of FM meetups all over the world. And we also have Women Innovating Together is a great way to give back. It's a newly 501c official nonprofit. And what we do there is we really want to help promote everyone in their FileMaker career. And it's just a women-led organization, but we do lots of great things for the men and women in the FileMaker community. And of course, there's FileMakerStandards.org, and I think we can all agree that good standards is a good thing, so we really appreciate them taking the time to help establish some good standards. So I'm going to talk a little bit about mentoring, but not too much because I know Jess is going to talk about it next. But there is, Women Innovating Together does have a mentorship program that's open to everybody in the FileMaker community. And what we'll do is you can go sign up and log in and you fill out a form and you kind of say what you're looking for, and we try to find someone that's a good match. And you can be a mentor, you can be a mentee, and you can even be both because everyone has something to learn and something to give. Another way I really like to give back is working with children. So these are some of my favorite organizations for kind of exposing coding to children. And the tech world is a very male-dominated field, and I feel like introducing young girls especially to coding is such a great way to kind of give them encouragement and also just confidence, like, wow, this is something I can do. Like, I could make a career out of this. So I think that's a great way to give back. So I'm going to talk the rest of my session about my favorite way to give back, which is doing pro bono work for nonprofits. So at Soliant, we have something called the Humanitarian Committee, And it is basically our way of doing pro bono work for nonprofits within FileMaker. And actually we do other technologies as well, not just FileMaker, but mostly FileMaker. And they just sign up on our website, and we kind of vet them and then approve them and work with them on projects. And so this is kind of some of our case studies for the last couple of years. And I actually was talking about this last year at DEF CON, and I went through all the case studies, or the success stories of the Humanitarian Committee. And this young woman came up to me, Amy Pearson, and she said, after my session, she said, you know, can I be part of the Humanitarian Committee even if I don't work at Soliant? I would love to give back to the community and work with these nonprofits, but at the same time, I'd love to learn and get some really great advice from experts and learn some really great methods. And I just thought, wow, that's a really great idea. Like, why isn't there something like that out there right now? So lucky for me, I wasn't the only one who had this idea or liked this idea. So Jonathan Nicoletti from Acolyte Applications and Chris Kubica from Application Architect, the three of us kind of teamed up, and we did form something that does exactly what we hoped it would. And it's called Join Table. We're actually officially launching at DEF CON this year. So if you're interested, let us know. And of course, check out our website. But essentially what we are is a matchmaking website. So you go in there, you fill out a form, and I can show you what that kind of looks like. You fill out a form and say, I'm a developer, I want to help with a nonprofit, or I'm a nonprofit and I need help, and these are the things that I'm looking for. And what you hope to do is essentially find a really good match for you and help you along your journey in doing pro bono work. So why sign up for Join Table? I think there's a lot of really good reasons why to sign up. And I was talking to Scott Love at breakfast one day, and he said like a really good use case for Join Table would be interns, right? If you have interns and you want to try to start training them on a project, but you could just make up something and have them do something that nobody's ever going to use. Or maybe you could work on a nonprofit project for a nonprofit and really help your intern build something that someone would really use and appreciate. So like I say on this list, like you could even say on your form, like I'd like to work with other developers, so I'd like to meet new other developers and work on a project together, or you can even say I prefer to work by myself, and it could be a mentorship activity and just gain experience that way. So if you visit our site, there will be a couple things on there, frequently asked questions. So what is Join Table? How is it different? How is doing pro bono work different than a paid project? So lots of questions that we try to answer there. And of course, if you have any more, we'd love to put more questions up there for you. We also worked hard to put up some resources. So we tried to make a really nice list of a bunch of resources that's available around the community mostly for FileMaker, but also, of course, for doing pro bono. And Jonathan spent a lot of time doing some interviews. So he did interview a couple of three developers who are currently doing nonprofits. One thing we'd really like to do is really celebrate people who are already doing such great work in the community already, and give them a spotlight, a showcase, a way for us to kind of celebrate what they do. And of course, you can sign up to participate on our website as well. So one person I really want to call out that Jonathan interviewed, and it was such a great interview, I just really enjoyed it. It was funny, it was like, I learned a lot from it, so I highly recommend reading his interview, which actually if you follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, we'll let you know when it's been released. But Richard Russell is this amazing person who is 75 years old. He has actually been doing pro bono work since he retired, 25 hours a week. And he retired in the year 2000. So I'm gonna do the math for you, and I hope you're all ready for your jaws to drop, because he has done 24,700 hours of pro bono work in FileMaker, which is just mind-blowing, right? And he even was doing pro bono work before he retired, so it's actually even more than that. So it's just astonishing. So one of the things that we would love to do at Join Table also is just celebrate him and his accomplishments. And in the conversations that Jonathan had with Richard, he mentioned that he would love to come to DEF CON, but he can't justify the cost. And he's only been once, and a nonprofit sponsored him to come, so he hasn't been since. So one of our goals at Joint Table is to sponsor Richard to come to DEF CON next year. So I'm really hoping we can make that happen, and hoping that all of you will just give him a high five in the halls and be like, man, you're amazing, because he is. So you look for his interview coming out soon. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is Coders Without Borders. So this is another nonprofit initiative that's really sponsored by Smallco. And what they want to do is get volunteers to help with emergency situations all over the world. So things like natural disasters, things like that. So it's a really cool initiative, and here's the website if you'd like to check it out. So in summary, there are many different ways to give back, and you can really choose your level, right? It doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. We don't all have to be Richard, right? Everything, it could be a very small amount, and it's still making a big contribution to the community. And I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to everyone who's already giving back. And if you are, and I don't know about it, we'd love to hear about it, and we'd love to celebrate you on our website as well. This session will not have updates, and thank you very much, and don't forget to fill out evaluations. And how much time do I have for questions? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Anyone have questions? No? Okay. Thank you.